Welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. When I started this podcast in 2008, I was on a mission to promote women business owners, creatives, and entrepreneurs. In each episode, my guests provide resources, valuable tips, and inspiration. Women Entrepreneurs Radio is about showing women how to harness their natural strength to achieve success on their own terms. Hi everyone, welcome to Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. I am so glad that you could join us today. And today I've got two guests. I'm just going to introduce them to you so we can hear more about what they are up to. And Eugenia Kuzmina is an actress, comedian, and model. She started modeling at 13 in her native Russia, working for such companies as L'Oreal, Max Mara, M&amp, and Nike, and appearing as in brand campaigns and commercials, as well as local magazine covers. And at 15, she moved to Paris to model full-time. Her modeling career took off when she appeared on the cover of Glamour and walked the runway for multiple designers, including Yves Saint Laurent and Alexander McQueen and many others. And she's been featured in advertisements and magazines such as Elle, Harper's Bazaar, and Marie Claire. And Rochelle Brodin, a former model herself with a career that spanned over 15 years and took her around the world. After having her son Benji, she fell in love with taking pictures, and her passion turned into a profession after studying in London and the US to learn the art and basics of photography. Photography, directing, and digital creation are her passion, with over 20 years on both sides of the camera. And she and Eugenia recently had the launch for the book Model Moms and have another coffee table book series of tarot cards coming out next year. So welcome to the show, Eugenia and Rochelle.
Hi. Thank you so much. What a great introduction.
Hi, Deborah. Hello.
Hi, Deborah.
Hello, woman entrepreneur listeners. Hi from sunny Los Angeles. Really excited to join you for this conversation here.
Well, it sounds very nice because I'm in kind of cold and gray New Jersey, so I'm very happy to live vicariously through your wonderful weather over there. So I really want to get started a little bit because you asked the guests how they got started, and I know I gave a brief summary for both of you, but if you could just share a little bit more about your journey, because people can always learn from what other women entrepreneurs are experiencing. So, Eugenia, do you want to start?
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much. I think entrepreneurship is a really big word. I think it's really important for women to learn it. And I think I wasn't educated, at least. I grew up in post-Soviet Russia. So, it's something that I had to learn on my own, starting to work so young at 13 with such big companies. I felt like, that was an amazing education, working with all the fashion brands and how, different houses, and just learning the business aspect of, modeling and fashion, and, kind of started in that. And then after having kids, I feel like I struggled to find a platform for women who have kids and kind of how they do it all and continue their career. And I'm just such a passionate person, about creating different things. And that's how, I started the blog Model Mom TV and found incredible women who are also passionate about what they do. And I think it's also a play on the word model. I think it's not specifically like you're a fashion model. It's more about you're an example. And I think as a mom, kids do things based on what you do, on your actions. And I think it's really important to show them that they can be independent and entrepreneurial. And I connected to Rochelle and, Lil, in pandemic, we collaborated on this book.
Yes, that was a very unexpected event for us all. So it's amazing how many things are coming out of that with people collaborating. So, Rochelle, how about you?
Well, I loved meeting Eugenia, obviously, years back. We do have a similar experience, except I'm not from Soviet Russia. I'm from Honolulu, Hawaii, which is a beautiful place in itself. But I did grow up, didn't have much means, and I had to make something of myself. And modeling was a place for me to shine and learn and get some money for college and travel. So I want to start off by saying thank you so much for having us here today and having Eugenia and I on the show. I feel so honored. Eugenia, when she came to me with this idea of Model Moms, it's a blog that she has on her website. It's a YouTube channel. She asked me to do something with photography, like how to take pictures of your child. You know, that was like her premise. And so she came to me during the pandemic with this idea. And can we do it with her daughter, Veronica? And I said, sure, I'd love to do that. So if you go to the website, you can see that little, show that we did together. And Veronica was so easy to work with. Obviously, she's not a typical child. She's like a model's child, and she's a model herself.
But it's hard photographing kids.
It is so hard.
You have a special talent.
It's so hard. Veronica's easy, but majority of the time, children need a lot of reassurance, and they love to be part of the shoot and feel like they're included. So this Model Mom idea came together through Eugenia and also the blog that she created. And then during, I think that photo, when did we take that photo of this cover?
It was before pandemic, but you know.
It was prior to pandemic, yeah. I think she had this idea, Eugenia had this idea that started maybe 10 years ago. And she was doing collaborative photo shoots with many photographers with this concept in mind, even before this even came to fruition. She created a pitch deck for this reality TV show, and we filmed this sizzle reel. And then later on, this book came to fruition. And then the coffee table, sort of tarot card series is coming out next year with all these photos from all the years that we've collected. It's really Eugenia's life in a nutshell. It's so beautiful. It's just stunning artwork and stunning photographers, not just myself, but we have an editor named Lena Bajerstam who's helping me, and we're doing this beautiful series. So I'm excited. Thank you so much for including me, Eugenia, on this ride with you. And I really enjoy your family very much. Our families are friends. So
yeah, I think it's so exciting. You know, I think women should be educated more to support other women. You know, I kind of came to see that, you know, it's not something that we're educated to do. And I'm working with so many different organizations to, you know, and also working with like my daughter and educating her in that sense. Cause, you know, everything is a collaborative process. It's something that I'm really excited, you know, to shine light on like other women who are amazing at what they do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that Eugenia it's not lofty in any way. The way she is, she's just so giving and generous with her time. And she's so sweet. And her idea is to really support other women. So it's about lifting each other up. She lifted me up in my difficult times, you know, with my, you know, my divorce and things like that. But she's just been such a great influence on so many people. And that's why I want to support her in anything creative that she does.
So sweet. Yeah, we did this book, and actually how this book came together is in pandemic. I was part of this conference. It's called Her Story, created by Gertrude Matache, who is, you know, an amazing, incredible woman who did a lot of TED Talks and then kind of was like frustrated with some politics, I think, there, and just decided to create her own platform for women to tell their stories. And I invited a few of my friends as well to speak on that, and remember doing it on Zoom, and we're just like crying and laughing and sharing stories. And it's just such a powerful thing to connect through storytelling. And, you know, Gertrude, as part of these, you know, speaking conference, kind of have like every woman publish a book, and it's all about different stories and like transformation and what we go through. And it's interesting, you know, like now generations, I think, are changing a little bit, but before, you know, women were like, oh my God, like how amazing it is. You have such a supportive circle. And back with you, Rochelle, you know, I think your talent is, you know, amazing and incredible. And I'm inspired to see how, you know, as a single mom also, which is such a huge accomplishment, you know, to kind of do your career and do what you're passionate about and be entrepreneurial about things that change in our life and, you know, move forward.
Oh, that's true. And the collaboration, of course, is really key because that's, you know, it's really hard to get anything done in this world if we are trying to help each other, you know, in spite of the story that's put out in the world that it's someone's doing something all by themselves. That really isn't the case, I feel. And definitely not for women. I don't think that's really the case at all. And it sounds as though with this book, there's a lot of different moms and families that you have featured.
Yes, there's a few volumes. This is just volume 6. And
great.
I think there's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other women who are featured as mothers, and they're pouring their hearts out in this book. So Eugenia's portion happens to be in the beginning chapters. And then I think there's Kathy Fife, Carolyn Price, Danny Eaton, Sally Galvin, Alicia Brown, Maggie McCumsty, Ali Sugars, Dr. Rosalind G. Smith, and Georgia Wilson, who are also pouring their hearts out in their vulnerable paths, and their stories are there. So I do believe that, I don't know, Eugenia's just, her radiance kind of brings that book together, and the cover that I photographed, just with Teddy on the cover, with Veronica, I'm super grateful to have the cover. So
it's always fun to work with friends, right? We have a lot of fun on the shoots, and you know, the tarot cards kind of came around because also in pandemic, you know, it's such an unknown time, and I think tarot is just an amazing tool kind of to get back to your intuition. And of course, everybody wants to know what's happening and what's next. We're so out of control. And I saw like a lot of brands, they started releasing tarot cards, and they're super fun. You know, they're good for the coffee table, but also like play with your friends, and there's whole psychology to it. And, you know, it was really fun to kind of take all these courses, like in pandemic, at least it gave, you know, us some time, you know, the lucky ones maybe to kind of, you know, do other things and learn different skills.
One of the things I love too, Eugenia, is that you don't take life so seriously, and everything about it, she keeps everything light. It's fun. Everything she does is funny. So what we forget to see in your writing is it's very comedic. It's self-deprecating. She does stand-up comedy a lot. So she's using a lot of these stories in her tarot cards. And, it's to make moms laugh, really. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not to be so heavy and like, oh my gosh, it's so hard. No, it's funny. The stuff we do and go through, it's funny. So that's the way that we have on the images and, her writing. Anyway,
I still trying to get Rochelle to get to do stand up, or like that time we took like improv class, you know, singing improv class. That was like, cause I think, you know, I don't know. I think life is, well, once you come from like Siberia, you know, there's like, you're like, okay, time to lighten up.
It's true.
Did you feel that when you talked to these different moms and families, was it hard for them to really be vulnerable and open up for your book?
Yeah, you know, it's not only my book, it's literally like a collaboration. It just happened that, you know, Gertrude decided for this specific volume to choose, you know, the picture for the cover with our family. But, you know, all the other stories are really legitimate and they have a huge part of the book. And I think it was, you know, we were literally like sitting on Zoom and crying, and some women of different generation, they were sharing how, oh my God, they were never supported, because I think now, you know, it's like the culture is changing so much and evolving, and women have so much more rights, you know, it's still quite a fight, but you know, they were saying how like they didn't have any support system, and you know, how now at like maybe 60s or something, they're starting new businesses, and they're like, okay, that's fine, you know, be who you are and kind of, you know, go with your life and, you know, be proactive and do things that they like. But it was definitely an interesting thing. I think we'll connect through storytelling, that's why, it's such a powerful thing to do.
Yes, that's very true. That's the way that people learn, definitely through stories. And I think, as you're saying, that we are all pretty much wired for storytelling. So that's definitely a way to connect with everyone, is to kind of show different people's stories, and we can really, identify with them. If people aren't even sure that they would have this idea that they wouldn't, that they see that everybody's going through their own things or having fun in their own way, or just finding joy.
Absolutely. And everybody has their story. I think there's so many people that, I meet through blog Model Mom, and I was like, oh my God, you should have your book. And, it's just so interesting.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Once you start to hear from people, hear what they have to say, and it's really, compelling. So what ultimately do you feel is the goal for this? What would you like people to take away from this when they look at it?
For me, it was a story about transformation to be authentic, because I found myself in this dichotomy situation where, as a model, you always have to be self-conscious in a way. So you travel every day, it's all about your image and things like that. And as a mom, it's completely opposite. You have to be all about the kids, and, it changes your life and such a huge thing. And for a while I thought that I couldn't do both things, and I have to be either a model or a mom. And I felt like a fish out of water, until it really took me some time to see that, I don't have to fulfill society's obligation of, being one thing or the other. And it's never going to be perfect. I think we're put in, as moms, and I have to say Hollywood is getting a little bit better. At least they have diverse films about parenting, but a lot of times you see movies where these kids just sit perfectly and everything is good, and there's all these expectations of okay, you have to do everything perfectly, and you have to overachieve. And it took me a while to say no, it's okay. It's okay to be authentic. And in Japan there's some kind of a saying where they glue the broken plates with gold, and that's what the value. I think took something like that and said, it's okay to be authentic and connect with other moms, because parenting, it's, before we used to have villages raising kids, and now there's, you're by yourself, especially I was inspired by somebody like Rochelle, as a single mom. I could never imagine, I don't know. I think single moms are just heroes. Yeah. And I think the message is we can do anything we want in life and stay creative, and there will be challenges, but it's just part of the journey. And also we can help each other. There's enough place under the sun for everybody to shine.
I like the quote that Eugenia actually has in her book, written by her. And it says, "The imperfection adds to the beauty. I work every day on failing and failing forward to be an authentic, true, imperfect self." And that imperfection is what she just talked about. So beautiful. And failing forward. I love that.
Yeah. I took it from one of my acting coaches, Margie Habers. Every time, as an actor, you do something, it's so hard because you have to put your card on the table. And that's, it's learning process to be vulnerable, but that's when we actually connect at our vulnerable self, but not at image perfect. And as a model, I think, right, Rochelle, you would agree, it's a business of okay, this selling product, and it has to look a certain way, and it's all about there's a lot of expectations in a way.
Yeah, it sounds like your both of your experiences in that world really help you to inform you once you're doing these other projects, that you really can look at the world in a different way, or if you're saying, if you're the object, let's say, of the camera, and you're selling something, and now you feel like you maybe have to switch gears a little bit to be the mom or to be whatever other place you are in the world. But it sounds like you've integrated all of those things into your life. They're not separate pieces of you.
Exactly. Right, Rochelle?
The learning experience. Every little bit we've learned.
Yeah, and that's very important, because I think that sometimes I could say entrepreneurs and women who maybe have the family and then have the business, they have this, they have that, and they may feel they have to fight to put them all together. It shouldn't be that way, really.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it all comes back to the support system, right? Like you can't do everything. You can't do everything at once. You know, it's like learning as a parent as well. You know, you try to be at two places at once. And, you know, my therapist is always like, no, just be present when you can fully.
You're the queen of hard work, Eugenia.
Back at you. Back at you.
Anyone that works as hard as she does, really.
Back at you.
She's in Paris. She's here. She's a wife. She's a mom to 3 children. I mean, there's a lot that she does, and people don't realize how hard she really does work. And she makes her appearances. She makes it look effortless. I've been fortunate to photograph her for several years now, and we've become very, very close. Our children are friends. But the main thing is I'm supporting these women, these several women that wrote the book, and also Eugenia in her path, and Deborah. Anything you need to, let me know. I would love to support you and help photograph or do press for you. Yeah, thank you.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you. So how long did it take you to put this particular project together? Because I know you've got the tarot book you're working on, but how long did it take for the mom's book to come together?
Well, you know, I think pandemic in some way helped, you know, because we all had to kind of reconsider our timing with projects that we do, you know, and in some way, you know, I was lucky everything was fine with my family. So, you know, I could really relax and not rush around and kind of consider what is important, you know, in life and like what messages I want to leave, you know, to leave behind to say. So I really had time to do this, you know, writing and, you know, I focused like why I want to do that. And it is a time of transformation for us as humanity, I believe. So it didn't took long. I mean, the idea was there for a really long time and I could never think of how to put it together because, you know, English is like my third language and I'm not a writer per se, even though, you know, I do write stand up, but, you know, I'm not like a novelist or something like that, you know, especially in English. So, you know, but I think as an entrepreneur, right, you always have to be kind of open to things happening a certain way. And, you know, I was so lucky to find this conference and they really helped me to put and materialize the actual book together pretty fast. So I would say like it took me more than 10 years in thinking and just like a year in really action based, you know, thing to materialize it. But I think everything's possible, you know, if you're open to it and you, you know, you have something that you're doing for others and not just for yourself, you know.
It took her a long time, but with Gertrude reached out and asked for photos of Eugenia and the family. And I sent a couple over and she said, oh my God, I love this one. And, you know, all I did was, you know, Photoshop it and provide the PDF file really. So it didn't take me long. I think it was a week.
Well, you're so busy too, Rochelle. Like, I think you've been working through the whole pandemic too, right? You've like editing.
I think I had edited the photo already and, it was going to be part of our, tarot cards book. I think it still might be. I don't know. But the image itself I had photographed and had in the collection, as we say. And that's why there's a bird on the image. The bird is representing some of the whimsical characters that are part of our tarot card book. So, and also Veronica is a bird lover. And she has several. The real one could not be at the park. So,
well, it's amazing how kids in pandemic, you know, they're just so natural. Like my kids started connecting to animals because they couldn't connect to their friends. So I was like really happy that was something, you know, as humans we share, like we need that physical connection, and she adopted a few birds and trained them. And it became part of the story.
Oh my God, that's so cute. So, and what gave you the idea to do the tarot book?
You know, also kind of thinking about writing a book for a long time. I wanted to write, you know, I always read like advice books and sometimes, you know, I was kind of reflecting back. I don't want to write an advice book because, you know, my journey is not finished and I'm not claiming to be an expert. I just wanted to share expertise of my journey to, you know, to maybe help others. A lot of times girls would reach out to me for modeling and like ask like, oh, how do I do come back to like my job after having kids and things like that. So I didn't want to write it from like an expert perspective. I wanted to write it more like a comedy type of thing. Parody on advice, just sharing vulnerabilities. And I stumbled because of all the photography and, my background in fashion and connecting to all these amazing photographers like Rochelle Brodin and her also being a model, and photographer and a mother. That was like a no-brainer that we connected to do something together. And also I work with a few other photographers on that. And I think image speaks so much more than any words. Like you can convey a whole storytelling in one image. And we came up with like ideas of photos that represent like comedy and also motherhood and like fashion, kind of combined it all together. And tarot is all about a hero's journey. That's what I learned from learning about tarot. It's basically anytime anybody designs a tarot card, they have to live through it. There's a lot of psychology to it, to every card. There's archetypes that I learned about. And also, just coming from Russia, I think, growing up in Siberia, we were always connected to like tarot cards. It's something mystical and it's fun and it's a little bit better than just, like advice book on something. And I think it makes sense.
I get backlash from the tarot card people, but I do think it's more art. It's little pieces of art in the size of a tarot card, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It arrives in this beautiful little box and we're working on finding the best printer for it. But the main thing is women or mothers, it's a gift you can share. You can have it on your coffee table. You can look at it and laugh and be like, oh my God, this is beautifully done. And it's funny. And it's something to give for Mother's Day. I really do. I feel like it's a great gift to give moms.
Yeah. I mean, I collect a lot of cards. I don't know how about you, Rochelle, but like I love tarot cards.
I know, I see your book collection. It's insane. She always has like, ooh, what do you about this? Do you like this? I'm like, I love that. She's always at these stores collecting, crystals and sage and all these wonderful knickknacks that when we go to Malibu and all these other stores. But she's all into that. That's her thing. She loves being spiritual and I think Russians do really.
Russians,
a tarot card store. That would be
Sure.
So can you please share where the listeners can find out more about you and find your books?
Yeah, of course. So my book is pretty easy to find. It's on Amazon, if you just put like Eugenia Kuzmina Model Mom, I think it comes up. I think it would be too complicated to give the link, but, I put it on Etsy too, which is a great platform. It's interesting with publishing a book. So you can go two ways, as I learned, you can really go through, and also her story, right? So her story made it really easy that they added it to Amazon and, they give us more like rights to distribute it in different platforms. And they're kind of like a semi-publisher in that sense. So we have a lot of more control of like selling this book. But yeah, her story, Etsy, Amazon.
DM us and we'll get you a signed copy and I will mail it to you directly. Literally, like the best. I will hand deliver it to you if you live in Los Angeles.
Well, we'll definitely add links to the show notes so that everyone can check it out and see what everything looks like, and also to look out for the tarot book. Do you have a tentative date when you think that will be out?
We're planning to do it for Mother's Day. Hopefully, it's actually up to me now because we're back to traveling and working. So I have to sit down and kind of find that time to, to write things for that. But we're in the process of it. Hopefully Mother's Day or.
Yeah, that was the idea, that tentative idea,
Yeah.
Oh, great. And yes, and time goes by so quickly, so I'm sure in no time you'll be talking about and planning for Mother's Day. So that sounds like that'd be a fantastic gift. So Eugenia and Rochelle, do you have any final thoughts to share with the listeners?
I think these 2 years really in some ways changed all of our lives globally. and made us reassess, what we were doing. And also, I think a lot of people have to become entrepreneurs, right? I think a lot of businesses change, and with the technology, and, we're all adjusting and kind of creatively creating like new businesses for ourselves. So I think just keep going, I would say, to anybody. And, there's so many more platforms and ways to connect now with technology. I think it's good and bad in a way, but it's really good in a way you can connect, to other entrepreneurs and, learn a lot of skills as well online, in different countries. So I think just be open and keep creating, stay positive, and support each other.
Mm-hmm. Definitely great advice particularly for women entrepreneurs who are weathering all these changes as well, in terms of often family and business and all other things that they're juggling. So I think the idea of collaboration and this kind of transformation is really, really important. And I think those are wonderful lessons to share, and the books sound beautiful, so they're going to be wonderful as well.
Hopefully it creates a community.
Yes.
And that we can help each other grow. And I hope that this is just the beginning.
That's true. That the community is definitely important for everyone, especially after everything with lockdown and whatnot. People want to make those connections. I think that's a great idea. Mm-hmm. And certainly something I think to look forward to with these launches and going forward as well. So Eugenia and Rochelle, I want to thank you so much for joining me today. This has been such a wonderful conversation, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much, Deborah. Thank you so much to all the listeners, and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
So everyone, I know you enjoyed the show. Please share this on social media and share it with your friends. And please check out the book, Model Moms. And the next book will be coming out too, so you can look out for that as well. And we'll have links in the show notes. So once again, Women Entrepreneurs Radio with your host, Deborah Bailey. Thank you so much for joining us. And we will see you again next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to stop by womenentrepreneursradio.com to read extended bios of the show guests, and also find links there for their websites and any offers that they have shared with you. And stop by our Facebook page at facebook.com/womenentrepreneurs.